Well, welcome to the Assembly Committee on Legislative Operations and Elections. Feels like a while. It's good to see everybody. Will the secretary please call the roll?
Assemblymember Cole. Here. Dickman. Edgeworth. Gonzalez. Hibbets. Here. Howdigi. Here. Miller. Here. Monroe Moreno. Here. Moore. Here. Nadeem. Present. Chair Mosca.
And I am here. Thank you so much. And Assemblymember Dickman is here, and Assemblymember Gonzalez is presenting a bill in the other Leg Ops Committee. So if we can please mark her present as she arrives. Welcome to those in Carson City, those joining by video conference in Las Vegas, and those over the internet. Some housekeeping announcements. Please silence your electronic devices. If you wish to testify, please sign in at the table of the door and provide a business card. When testifying, please turn on the microphone and clearly state and spell your name for the record and affiliation. There are hard copies of the meeting materials available for members of the public. You can also access copies of the materials on our website. Public comment will be taken at the end of the meeting. Each person is limited to 2 minutes, and the public may submit written testimony to the committee up to 24 hours after the meeting. We expect courtesy and respect in our interactions, even if we don't agree with one another's position. And finally, committee members are viewing handouts on their laptop, so please don't see that as a sign of disrespect. Today is Chair Orenshaw Day, so we're excited. We have 4 measures we'll hear today, and we'll first open the hearing on Senate Bill 225. This measure revises provisions related to elections. And Senator Orenshaw, you may begin when you're ready and have your co-presenter introduce himself as well. Don't forget, you have 15 minutes.
Good afternoon, Chair Mosca and members of the Assembly Committee on Legislative Operations and Elections. For the record, James Orenshaw, I represent Senate District 21. Really good to be in front of this committee. I have a lot of great memories of this committee and all the great work that's been done over here, and some real monumental legislation that came out of this committee. Not trying to butter you all up, but it's true, and I've got great memories of this committee. Thank you for hearing Senate Bill 225. With me, I've got Mark Woloshyn, Deputy Secretary of State for Elections. Senate Bill 225 came out of the Interim Committee on Legislative Operations and Elections. It was an idea that we discussed, we voted on, and it's to establish a filing fee for the major party nomination for president. The issue that arose was that currently for the major party nomination, there was no filing fee. So, many people could file for the office of President of the United States. Perhaps, not really planning to mount a campaign, just to, see their name on the ballot. And unfortunately, this creates a great burden for the Secretary of State, for the ballot, and there aren't too many other states, I think, that didn't have any filing fee. We do have a filing fee of $250 for the minor party candidates for president. The $1,000 fee still keeps us, I believe, at the lower end of most other states. I think there are some states that we saw that had a $5,000 filing fee, a $10,000 filing fee. So, while no one wants to put a fee here, I think this is a reasonable fee in terms of election administration. So I'm happy to answer any questions, or with your discretion, Chair, if I turn it over to Deputy Secretary of State Mark Woloshyn, and then I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Chair Mark Woloshyn, Deputy Secretary of State for Elections. For the record, last name spelled W-L-A-S-C-H-I-N. Senator Orenshaw summarized the bill perfectly, along with the requirements and the concerns. The one clarification, minor parties do not have a filing fee. Independent candidates for U.S. President have a filing fee of $250. But otherwise, the Senator summarized it perfectly. And we're here for questions. Thank you.
Thank you. We have our first question from Assemblymember Hibbets.
Thank you, Chair, and I do remember discussing this in the interim. However, I have a question that I don't remember if it was answered or not. Independent candidates have a filing fee of $250, and is that in a different NRS? Because I don't see it listed here. We're in the area we're talking about.
James Orenshaw, Senate District 21, through you, Chair Mosca, to Assemblymember Hibbets. It is in a different NRS, and I did look it up, and I don't have it in front of me right now, but I can get that, because it is in a different NRS, I believe.
298-901.
Okay, I'm getting a phone a friend. I'm at 298-901 from
Thank you. And you could go direct, Senator. My only question is, where does the money go? What do we use the funds for?
Thank you for the question, Chair. Mark Velocity for the record. All the filing fees go to the general fund after the Secretary of State collects them.
That's a great answer for our current state. Yes. Okay, any other questions, members? Okay, thank you. With that, we will go to testimony. So thank you, Senator. Thank you, Deputy Director
Thank you.
Washington. And we will open up testimony in support of SB 225. You do have 2 minutes if anyone here is in Carson City to support. Don't forget to state and spell your name for the record. It helps our committee secretary. And I will read out the call-in number right now in case people are going to call in. The number is 888-475-4499, and the meeting ID is 814-8849-1504. And with that, you may begin.
Good afternoon, Chair Mosca and committee members. My name is Jennifer Willett, Jennifer Willett, and I am the Senior Campaign Manager at All Voting is Local Action Nevada. We are an organization that advocates for policies and legislative priorities that expand voter access to build a democracy for us all. We support SB 225. Currently, required filing fees range from $30 to $500 for a variety of federal, state, and local offices. Yet ahead of the 2024 PPP, anyone, regardless of their true intentions, could declare candidacy at zero cost. By requiring PPP candidates to pay a filing fee, it creates a fairer filing system, reduces the number of unserious candidate filings, reduces costs, and alleviates unnecessary paperwork for election officials. We urge your support for this measure. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair Mosca and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Ryan Vortish. That's spelled R-Y-A-N, last name V-O-R-T-I-S-C-H, and I am the Northern Nevada Democracy Coordinator of Silver State Voices. I'm here to testify in support of SB 225 on behalf of my organization and the Let Nevadans Vote Coalition. This bill will save Nevada taxpayers money by requiring a filing fee for PPP candidates, a cost that is currently incurred by the state. Additionally, this bill reserves these ballots for serious contenders, reducing any potential delays in our democratic process. We are glad that SB 225 will help the Secretary of State's office and urge you all to support this bill. Thank you.
Thank you. And I don't see anyone in Las Vegas, just make sure. Okay, AVH, we will please open up the phone lines for support for SB 225.
To testify in support for Senate Bill 225, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. Chair, the public lines are open and working. We have no callers for support at this time.
Okay, thank you. We will now move to opposition of SB 225. Seeing no one here in Carson City and seeing no one in Las Vegas, AVH, we can open the phone lines again for opposition to SB 225.
To testify in opposition to Senate Bill 225, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. Chair, we have no callers for opposition at this time.
Thank you so much. And finally, we will open in neutral. Seeing none in Carson City and none in Las Vegas, AVH, we will go back to you to open up in neutral for support of SB 225, or for neutral of SB 225.
Testify in neutral to Senate Bill 225, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. Chair, we have no callers for neutral.
Okay, thank you, Chair Ornshaw. If you'd like any closing remarks, I invite you.
Thank you very much, committee. James Orangel, State Senate District 21. Please pass this bill.
And he's going to stay right there. So we will now close the hearing on SB 225 and we will open the hearing on Senate Bill 421. This measure revises provisions relating to elections.
Thank you very much, Chair Mosca. Thank you for hearing Senate Bill 421. Last session, the legislature, James Orchall, Senate District 21, and I'm very fortunate to have some co-presenters here. Last session, the legislature, made some really big steps in terms of trying to bridge the gap with voting on tribal lands, trying to make sure that obstacles were removed. And then during the interim, talking to Dr. Willett, understood that there were some issues that still came up in terms of training, in terms of recruitment of election officials. So with your permission, Chair, I'd like to turn it over to my co-presenters. Then I'm happy to answer any questions on Senate Bill 421. I believe Senate Bill 421 tries to, address the problems that I learned about during the interim.
Good afternoon, Chair and committee members. My name is Andrea Martinez, Andrea Martinez. I am the former chairwoman and citizen of the Walker River Paiute Tribe. Nevada has a long history of imposing barriers for tribal nations. Following a lawsuit in 2016, the Walker River Paiute Tribe versus Mineral County and the Secretary of State, along with the Pyramid Lake Paiute Tribe, the state has taken steps to address these injustices, particularly through the laws passed last session. Now every tribe wanting a polling place or a drop box has one. In 2024, there were 20 reservation-based polling locations, up from 0 in 2016, with 3 new polling places in 2024. And we should be proud of this progress. While this was a great step forward, SB 421 addresses a few lingering issues. Previously, county clerks and tribes met to determine who would recruit poll workers, but the vague language in the law left this responsibility unclear. As a result, many polling places lacked adequate staffing. Various short-term solutions were used, including staffing by the Secretary of State's office, and at least in one case, one tribe contributing $5,000 to increase poll worker pay. No other community bears these costs and burdens to staff their polling places. To fix this, SB 421 explicitly assigns county clerks the responsibility of ensuring that tribal polling places are fully staffed, just as they do for all other polling locations. Additionally, this bill addresses other key barriers, the requirement that potential poll workers travel long distances to the county office for in-person training, which has led to recruited poll workers dropping out. SB 421 mandates that clerks provide training in person at the tribal nation or virtually to eliminate this barrier. Due to the laws passed last session, I believe that we have the best tribal voting laws in the country, and we are a model for other states. These small but crucial changes will help ensure that tribal polling places are properly staffed and fully operational. Thank you, Senator Orenshaw, for sponsoring this bill and the continued support for tribal nations.
Chair Moscow, members of the committee, James Orenshaw, Senate 21. Happy to answer any questions that the committee has.
Okay, thank you so much. Members, any questions? I think it's a great bill, so I think we have no questions.
Thank you very much for hearing the bill. Thank you.
Thank you. So we'll now open it up for testimony. We'll go to support for Senate Bill 421 and start here in Carson City. Don't forget to state and spell your name for the record, and you'll have 2 minutes.
Good afternoon, Alex Tanchek with Silver State Government Relations. That spelling is Tanchek. Here representing the Pyramid Lake Paiute Tribe and the Duck Valley Shoshone Paiute Tribes here in support of the bill. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair Mosca and members of the committee. My name is Cody Otto, spelled Codyarao, and I'm a youth fellow at One API Nevada, an organization that works on empowering and uplifting the voices of underrepresented communities, and I'm here in support of Senate Bill 421. As a Reno native who's just starting to experience and engage with our democracy, I understand the importance of voting and believe that it should be accessible for everyone. SB 421 matters because it ensures that Native voters aren't left behind. It builds a relationship between polling workers, election officials, and tribal leaders to work together in hosting election on tribal lands. That means voters will have the option to ask questions, get help, and cast their ballots with confidence without needing to travel long distances. As a youth fellow at One API in Nevada and as a former volunteer for the ACLU, I believe that civic participation is the avenue for all people to be felt, seen, and heard. SB 421 respects tribal sovereignty while also recognizing that Native voters deserve the same level of access and support as everyone else in our state. On behalf of youth like me who care about equity and fairness, I urge you to support SB 421. Thank you for your time.
Good afternoon, Chair Mosca and members of the committee. My name is Kayla Maese, spelled Kaylah. Last name is Maese. I'm a civil rights analyst at the ACLU of Nevada, and we support SB 421. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Joe Montelongo, for the record, Jomontelongo. Chair Mosca and members of the committee, I am here on behalf of Native Voters Alliance Nevada in support of SB 421. Nevada is home to 28 federally recognized tribal nations, and with that recognition comes a foundational truth. Tribes are sovereign. That means each tribal nation has the right to govern itself, its people, and to make decisions that best serve its community. That sovereignty must be respected, not just in words, but in how this state engages in a nation-to-nation relationship. SB 421 honors that relationship. It ensures that tribal governments retain control over the activities happening on their lands while also guaranteeing that polling locations on tribal land are effectively supported and staffed. We urge your support. Thank you very much.
Chair Mosca, members of the committee, Isaac Tenorio, IZACK, with Strategy 360, today representing Campy Legal Center. Campy Legal Center supports SB 421 to continue Nevada's efforts in making vital and needed improvements to systems, affording greater voting accessibility to Nevada's Native population. While Nevada has made significant strides in enacting and implementing laws to ensure voters living on tribal lands can reasonable access the ballot box, this law makes an important tweak that will have an outsized impact to individuals voting at polling places located on tribal lands. This bill would create an opt-out program by which it would be mandatory for the county or city clerk to recruit poll workers for polling places located on tribal lands and ensure proper and comprehensive training on how to use the mechanical voting systems. While recruitment of poll workers presents a challenge across the state, it is vital that tribal leaders have the support of their county and city clerks to ensure the success of these newly established polling places. Proper implementation is vital to the effectiveness of any major policy, and we applaud this committee for tackling this issue and consider the reforms that will only continue to improve the laws on the books. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, Chair Mosca and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Ryan Vortish. That's spelled R-Y-A-N, last name V-O-R-T-I-S-C-H, and I'm the Northern Nevada Democracy Coordinator of Silver State Voices. I'm here to testify in support of SB 421 on behalf of my organization and the Let Nevadans Vote Coalition. We'd like to uplift the experiences of the impacted tribal leaders and members who have expressed support of this bill. Our tribal nations currently face various barriers to the ballot box, including having to travel far distances to access a polling location or experiencing issues with mail-in ballots due to some nations having different address formats. On top of these long-standing inequities, in the last election, several tribal nations were responsible for recruiting their own poll workers, an additional barrier that no other community in the state faced. This bill rectifies that wrong. We thank the Senate committee for bringing forward this bill and for helping to ensure each tribal nation has their needs met during an election. Please support SB 421. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I do not see anyone in Las Vegas, so AVH, oh, it's on, I just gotta go closer. So AVH, we can please open the phone lines for support of Senate Bill 421.
If you would like to testify in support of Senate Bill 421, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue.
Good afternoon, Chair and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Tara Webster, T-A-R-A-W-E-B-S-T-E-R. I'm calling on behalf of the Progressive Leadership Alliance of Nevada in support of Senate Bill 421. Thank you.
Thank you. Next caller.
Good afternoon, Chair and committee members. My name is Jessica Munger, Munger, with Silver State Equality, Nevada's LGBTQ+ civil rights organization. We are in strong support of SB 421, and I echo what you've already heard. Thank you.
Thank you. Next caller.
Chair, we have no additional callers in support of Senate Bill 421.
Thank you. We will now move to testimony in opposition to SB 421. If anyone is here in Carson City, seeing none and still seeing none in Las Vegas, AVH will open the phone lines for opposition to SB 421.
Thank you, Chair. The public line is open and working. We have no callers in opposition.
Thank you. We'll now move to neutral. If anyone is here in if anyone's here in Carson City for neutral of SB 421. Seeing none in Las Vegas, AVH will open the phone lines, neutral SB 421.
Thank you, Chair. The public line is open and working. We have no callers for neutral at this time.
Thank you, Chair Ornshaw. I invite you up if you'd like closing remarks.
Thank you, Chair Mosca. James Ornshaw, Senate District 21. I'm proud of the work we did last session on trying to make sure that we remove some of those obstacles for voting on tribal lands. There's some things that I didn't think of that I think a lot of us didn't think of, and I think 421 tries to make sure that those needs are met. The poll workers, the training. So I hope the committee will consider passing it. Thank you for hearing the bill.
Thank you so much. I'll now close the hearing on SB 421. We'll now open the hearing on Senate Joint Resolution 7. This measure urges the federal government to recognize the unsuitability of Yucca Mountain as the site for a repository to store and dispose of spent nuclear fuel and high-level radioactive waste. Chair Ornshaw, when you're ready.
Good afternoon, Chair Mosca. James Ornshaw, Senate District 21. Thank you for hearing SJR 7. Since I was a kid growing up in Las Vegas in the 1980s, I've been scared about Yucca Mountain and about the potential storage of our nation's spent nuclear fuel and high-level radioactive waste 90 miles from Las Vegas. My mother was up for Alumni Day today, and in 2001, she sponsored a very similar resolution opposing Yucca Mountain, trying to fight that. It's a fight that's been going on for decades. We had Senator Bryan in the building today, who's up for Alumni Day, championed the fight and fought so hard, along with Senator Reed and so many others, to try to keep that from happening. And, for a while, I thought we'd won. I thought, with the hard work of Dr. Dilger, Executive Director of the Agency for Nuclear Projects, his predecessors, I really thought, the nation had realized that Yucca Mountain is not a suitable site. The plan is not a well thought out, good plan based on science, based on logistics, based on everything. But from everything I've been hearing the last year or so, there's an increased interest in nuclear energy, and SGR 7 doesn't oppose nuclear energy, but there's also an increased interest in looking at that site again. And I don't think anything has changed in terms of the suitability of that site for the storage of the nation's high-level radioactive waste. With your permission, Chair Mosca, I'd like to turn it over to my intern this session, UNR political science student Nate Allison, who's here to present SGR 7, and then to Dr. Dilger from the Agency for Nuclear Projects, our executive director. Then I'm happy to answer any questions.
Good afternoon, Chair Mosca and members of the Assembly Committee on Legislative Operations and Elections. For the record, my name is Nathaniel or Nate Allison. That is spelled Nathaniel space Allison. I'm originally from Southern Nevada, born in Las Vegas, and I am an undergraduate student at the University of Nevada, Reno. As the senator said, I'm majoring in political science and minoring in philosophy. I'm at my junior year at UNR. So, in recent years, the power source known as nuclear energy has been getting a lot more interest across the country. This power type is actively being pursued by tech giants in order to power vast server complexes and generative AI systems. The ADVANCE Act, passed last year by the United States Congress and signed into law, directs federal agencies to reinvest in nuclear power. As Senator Orenshaw said, this resolution is not an endorsement or rejection of nuclear power itself or as a concept. This resolution merely directs Congress and the federal government to acknowledge that in this new nuclear age, waste from these new constructions must not be deposited at Yucca Mountain. Nuclear waste disposal remains a concern to those across the country despite other options existing, such as storage at or near nuclear reactor sites across the country. The threat to public health in the process of transporting the waste from sites across the country to Yucca Mountain is not only of concern to Nevadans, but to all Americans. If the Yucca Mountain site was approved for storage of high-level radioactive waste, trains carrying radioactive materials would need to pass through hundreds of counties, home to millions of people at risk of exposure. Second, I would like to note that trains or trucks are subject to accidents and derailments. The threat of nuclear waste train derailments is a tremendous threat to any community where it might occur. I'm reminded of the environmental disaster from early 2023 resulting from the train derailment in East Palestine, Ohio. Ignoring the political debate at the time surrounding the accident, it is obvious that train derailments involving dangerous and hazardous materials pose a threat to public health. The issue of perception is also important. Ignoring the real threat of radioactive materials, it is very possible that a high-level radioactive waste site at Yucca Mountain would hurt Nevada's fragile and crucial tourism industry. During the period of above-ground nuclear testing, many tourists and locals alike drove out to observe nuclear tests. This was before the dangers of radioactivity were widely known to the general public. In the intervening decades, public opinion has caught up with the science. Yucca Mountain itself is an unsuitable site to store nuclear waste. It is above the water table, potentially causing radioactive materials to seep into the groundwater and affect nearby communities. It is critical that we as the state of Nevada must make our voices heard to remind the federal government that based on years of scientific research, Yucca Mountain is not suitable to becoming our country's site for the storage of high-level radioactive waste.
Thank you, Chair Mosca. With your permission, I'd like to turn over to Dr. Dilger, and then I'm happy to answer any questions.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of this committee. For the record, Fred Dilger, F-R-E-D-D-I-L-G-E-R. I'm the Executive Director of Nevada Agency for Nuclear Projects. We are at the coming up on the 40th anniversary of Nevada's opposition to this project. And for 40 years, we've been trying to explain to the rest of the country that this is a bad idea. And what has happened now is that the costs have ballooned for this repository. We have more waste than could go into the repository. So the repository is capped at 77,000 metric tons. We've got 98,000 metric tons. By 2050, we'll have 148,000 metric tons of waste. So we should really be looking for another nuclear waste dump to manage the waste. This is a problem that has been this can has been kicked down the road for a long time, and it is a problem that has to happen. I'm on my fourth nuclear renaissance right now, and the nuclear industry has not been able to revive itself in all the time that I've been involved in this, which is 31 years now. And a key obstacle to that is letting go of Yucca Mountain and finding a new host site for the waste from our existing inventory of fuel, as well as the future fuel that is anticipated. Just to go on a little bit, provide a little more detail about what the problems with the site. One of the things that was identified in 2008 when the license application was filed for the Yucca Mountain site was that aircraft operations from Creech Air Force Base would have to be severely restricted because of the probability of a military aircraft loaded with military munitions crashing into the surface facilities at Yucca Mountain. Well, since 2008, the busiest military airspace in the world right now is Creech Air Force Base. And every kind of munition, every kind of aircraft we have is operating in that area as well. Additionally, there are now plans for a rocket base at Creech Air Force Base. And when that is implemented, the Nuclear Regulatory Commission will have to calculate the probability of a crash from a rocket into the Yucca Mountain surface facilities, which are extremely vulnerable. So it's it is the riskiest, least feasible, and in many ways most dangerous possible way forward for the nation's nuclear waste disposal. And it's well past time for the United States to look elsewhere. Thank you.
And Chair Mosca, just to harken back to my childhood as a school kid in the 80s, hearing about Yucca Mountain, and being a politics nerd and a policy nerd, I was listening to everything that was happening, and there was a senator from Louisiana who sponsored a bill affectionately called the Screw Nevada Bill, which went from studying multiple sites around the country to just studying one site. And I really believe that bill that passed, that decision was based on political considerations, not on scientific considerations. Everything I've learned on this bill and in the past is that site's not suitable, that this isn't just a NIMBY, a not in my backyard. This is a site that's not suitable. If there was an accident, the effects would be devastating to our state and to the country. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Well, thank you so much. We appreciate the presentation. We have some questions. First, we'll go to Assembly Member Nadeem.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. Thank you for the presentation and thank you for explaining it so well. So my question is.
I know your mic is on.
Yes, okay, yes. Yes, thank you, Chair. Thank you for the presentation. Thank you for explaining it so well. So my question is, I want to know more about if in the scenario that nuclear waste is being, Yucca Mountain is being used as a nuclear waste, what are the healthcare crises Nevadans can face in that scenario?
One of the key characteristics of spent nuclear fuel is that it is so radioactive that the containers used to transport the waste do not contain all the radiation. And the Nuclear Regulatory Commission has standards, 10 millirem per hour at a 3 meter distance from the side of the canister. So it's the only hazardous material that's hazardous even in safe transport. And one of the issues for Nevada is if the waste doesn't go through Chicago, it all goes through downtown Las Vegas. 11,500 canisters over the course of a 50-year period. And for about a half a mile on either side of the route, there will be measurable doses of radiation that people will be involuntarily exposed to. I can send you we've done all the calculations for all the major cities along every route in the country. And there are 90,000 hotel rooms within that region of radiological exposure. There are 40,000 residents within that radiological region of exposure in Clark County. And we've done all the calculations on all that. We've sifted through this ad nauseum. And that is the primary initial health effect. Now, can we determine exactly precisely how many cancers that will result in? No, we cannot. There is an ongoing scientific dispute about what a safe level of exposure to low-level radiation is, and it's unclear. And I don't think we have the science to tell us one way or the other about those extremely low doses of radiation. On the other hand, according to the Department of Energy, in the event of a severe terrorist attack against a waste canister, the cost to clean up an urban area would be approximately $10 billion, and it would result in 100 radiation deaths, approximately 100 radiation deaths. So this is speculative, of course, but we've studied that to a very great degree. So those are the immediate health effects. It's a very difficult problem, and as the waste flows from, 70% of the waste is east of the Mississippi River. So as it flows west toward a destination site, all of those shipments funnel. And that's what concentrates the routine dose, and it concentrates the terrorist risk.
Thank you. Members, any other questions? I just have a brief one. I know I learned a lot about it in the Ways and Means Committee from your presentation, but do you just feel like that there is more pressure now of why we need to get this passed?
James Ornshaw, Senate District 21. Thank you for the question, Chair Mosca. Certainly, before the session, when I was looking at legislation to work on, and I started reading about the renewed interest in Yucca Mountain. There's a renewed interest in nuclear energy. A lot of the artificial intelligence computing systems need a lot more electricity. And so there's this renewed interest in nuclear energy, which again, SGR 7 doesn't oppose that. But what I also noticed and read about was this renewed interest in the Yucca Mountain site for the storage of the waste. And I think that all of the problems that are geological problems with the water table, I think during the hearing over in the other house, we had testimony that with the water potentially seeping down to those canisters and the way the kind of rock that's there, that it forms an acid that can corrode those canisters over time. So Yucca Mountain's still unsuitable, notwithstanding the renewed interest in nuclear energy and this renewed need to find a disposal solution. It's still unsuitable. And I feel like it's more important than ever that Nevada reaffirm that.
Great, thank you. And seeing no other questions, we will open it up for testimony. Thank you so much. So if you are here to testify in support of Senate Joint Resolution 7, or I'll start calling it SJR 7, please fill up the chairs here. Don't forget to state and spell your name for the record, and you'll have 2 minutes.
Good afternoon, Chair Mosca, members of the committee. For the record, my name is Nick Schneider, Director of Government Affairs for the Vegas Chamber. The Chamber is here in support of SJR 7 and has long been concerned by the use of Yucca Mountain as a repository for nuclear waste. I just want to go ahead and echo those concerns regarding it sitting above the water table, as well as the proximity to the state's largest population hub and just the exposure risks that are there. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Good afternoon, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Tristan St. Dennis. I am the Policy and Advocacy Associate for the Nevada Conservation League. The Nevada Conservation League has always held firmly that Nevada should not be used as a dumping ground for the nation's nuclear waste, which would jeopardize the health of our water, air, land, wildlife, and threaten the safety of Nevada residents and visitors. We urge the committee to support this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Olivia Tanager, Director of the Sierra Club Toyabe Chapter. For the record, the Sierra Club Toyabe Chapter has stood against the Yucca Mountain proposal for decades and was instrumental in defeating the project. As you heard, Yucca Mountain is only 90 miles northwest of Las Vegas, our largest population hub, and was designated in Congress in 1987 as the only site to be considered for permanent nuclear waste storage. Since then, the U.S. Department of Energy has spent $15 billion to develop and study the site. After years of study, the Energy Department filed its license application for the project in 2008. President Obama subsequently defunded it in 2012. But then in 2018, President Trump's budget blueprint included $110 million to restart the licensing project to rebuild Yucca Mountain and $10 million for interim storage. Then Governor Sandoval called the project a disgusting waste of money on the part of the federal government, saying it's a porous volcano that sits on an earthquake fault. If we want to talk about government efficiency in 2025, we should ensure that no further taxpayer money goes towards trying to make an untenable project tenable. Unfortunately, Project 2025, authored by the Heritage Foundation, outlines an agenda for dismantling many aspects of our society, includes support for nuclear storage at Yucca Mountain. So we appreciate the timeliness of this resolution, and we appreciate the bill sponsor bringing it forward. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair Mosca, members of the committee. For the record, Randy Robison, Director of Government Affairs for the City of Las Vegas. I would like to reiterate our longstanding opposition to Yucca Mountain, particularly the transportation corridor, which runs right through the center of downtown Las Vegas, right next to City Hall, where my office is, so I'm trying not to take it personal. But it does present several challenges still after years and years and years of study. And so we'd like to, again, reiterate our opposition to Yucca Mountain, and so therefore our support for SJR 7.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Chair, members of the committee. My name is Wesley Harper. I am the Director of Government Affairs for the City of North Las Vegas. We too echo the sentiments of the City of Las Vegas and the Vegas Chamber. We are in strong opposition to SJR 7. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no more here in Carson City and seeing none in Las Vegas, AVH will please open the phone line for support of SJR 7.
To testify in support for SJR 7, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. Chair, the public lines are open and working. We have no callers for support at this time.
Thank you so much. We'll now move to opposition to SJR 7. Anyone is here in Carson City? And seeing none, as well as none in Las Vegas, AVH will go back to you for opposition to SJR 7.
Chair, we have no callers for opposition at this time.
Thank you, and we'll now go to neutral. If anyone is here for neutral in Carson City, no one is in Las Vegas, and if anyone, AVH is on the phone line for neutral to SJR 7.
Chair, we have no callers for neutral.
Thank you, and at this time, I'll invite Chair Ornshaw back up for closing remarks.
Chair Mosca, members of the committee, James Ornshaw, State Senate District 21, thank you for hearing SJR 7. I'd like to, with your permission, turn it over to UNR Political Science Intern, Nate Allison, to deliver the closing remarks.
Nathaniel Allison, for the record. Chair Mosca and members of the Assembly Committee on Legislative Operations and Elections, this concludes our presentation. Thank you for your time and consideration of this important legislation. Nevada must make it clear to the federal government that the proposed site at Yucca Mountain is not suitable to become the nation's high-level radioactive waste site. Once again, we need to present a united front to stop this all from happening. Senator Ornshaw and I are ready to stand for any additional questions that you and the committee have.
Thank you, and great job today. Okay, thank you. With that, I will close the hearing on SJR 7 and open the hearing on our last one today, Senate Joint Resolution 8. This measure urges Congress to protect the public lands, including and adjacent to Sunrise Mountain, Frenchman Mountain, and the Rainbow Gardens area. Chair Ornshaw, when you're ready.
Chair Mosca, thank you very much for hearing 4 bills from our Senate side. James Ornshaw, Senate 21. SJR 8 is very important to me, and I know to many of us from Southern Nevada. There's a real treasure on the eastern side of urban Las Vegas: Sunrise Mountain, Frenchman Mountain, Rainbow Gardens. There's something called the Great Unconformity, which I'm not smart enough in geology to be able to actually explain what it is, but it's something that I think you can only find a few other places on the planet that shows billions of years of different rock. And Dr. Stephen Rowland, Emeritus Professor of Geology, testified during the Senate hearing, and he's unavailable today, but he testified that he brings geology students and professors from around the world to look at the Great Unconformity. And you drive up Lake Mead over there, and you can get to see it. And there's a plaque that Helen Mortensen and a bunch of folks, Nevada Citizens for Active Management, former State Senator Tom Hickey, Lillian Hickey, put the plaque up there so that people could go and tour that. Gypsum Cave is up there, which also is a treasure in terms of paleontological history. Archaeologists go there, and unfortunately, so much of this land is BLM land, but BLM has limited resources, and there's a lot of dumping that goes on up there. There's a lot of target shooting that goes on up there. There are trails for hiking, but a lot of them they're not maintained. So there's potential for that area to be like what we have at Red Rock Canyon, what we have in Mount Charleston. When I've looked back at the history of Red Rock Canyon, going back 60, 70 years ago, there's accounts of people bringing old cars there for target practice and dumping there before it got increased protections. During COVID, when Red Rock was inaccessible, I'd see so many families up on Frenchman Mountain, hiking, just trying to get out somewhere that was open and to do something that would be outdoors, fresh air. And this area has so much potential if our partners in the federal government could find a little more resources to protect this, maybe establish good hiking trails, parking lots, bathrooms, picnic tables like we have at Red Rock, and also protect it so that, come 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock, it's closed. And it's not a place where people are going to have target shooting or dumping. There have been every year there's lots of cleanups. And when I go out to the cleanups, I see so many dedicated people who care about that area, who'll go out and brave the sunshine, the warm weather, the hot weather to try to clean up that area. So here, I'm hoping that the federal government will listen to us and maybe look at some increased protections. And I'm not saying cut the area off from people who want to recreate, but I think that there's things that could be done, whether it's creating a national monument for the Great Unconformity or looking at some other protections, Gypsum Cave, Rainbow Gardens. I think there's a way to have a balance where people can recreate and have fun and also protect these beautiful areas that are public lands and unfortunately aren't being protected. So this is a letter to our partners in the federal government, and hope to listen, hope the committee might look favorably on it. Happy to answer any questions on it. And I think, I'm very lucky to have Helen Mortensen. Helen has been a pioneer in trying to protect these areas up on Frenchman Mountain. And with your permission, Chair, if I could turn it over to Helen Mortensen, and then I'm happy to stand for any questions.
You're on.
Okay. Thank you, Chairman Mosa and members of the committee. I really appreciate this opportunity to testify in support of the Senate Joint Resolution number 8 by Senator Orrin Shaw. It urges Congress to protect the public lands and including and adjacent to such Sunrise Mountain area, Frenchman's Mountain, and Rainbow Gardens area. So I do want to make sure that you understand what's involved here. It is time to rescue the Frenchman Mountain, Rainbow Gardens, Gypsum Cave area from vandals and litterers. It is underappreciated, underutilized, fantastically scenic area with very high potential for development of additional trails, scenic overlooks, and interpretive displays. Legitimate world-class geological and archaeological features occur in this area, such as the Great Unconformity, where 500 million year old sandstone lies on 1 billion year old granite and schist. This is a globally significant geological feature that is visited by geologists and geology students from around the world. It's an embarrassment to bring visitors to this feature due to the litter and broken glass. Frenchman Mountain and Rainbow Gardens, which provides the best exposure of Earth, continuous succession of strata representing the Paleozoic, Mesozoic, and Cenozoic areas, including fossil trilobites and other marine fossils. It's a national park quality geology. I just want to interject. My husband, Harry Mortensen, had an uncle, Herlof Bigvald, out of Norway. He was a geologist. And he came out here in 1939 to study specifically this area. Geology students all over the world come out here annually and work with Dr. Steve Rowland and Nick Sains and all these people that really know geology to the nth degree. The Frenchman Mountain and Rainbow Gardens, which provides the best exposure on Earth. Oh, I just read that. A continuous succession of strata representing Paleozoic, Mesozoic, and Cenozoic areas, including fossil trilobites. Can you believe that they still exist out there and you can see them? Okay. And other marine fossils. It's a national park quality geology. Gypsum Cave, which is very famous archaeological site that is on the National Registry of Historic Sites. The cave was excavated by legendary archaeologist Mark Harrington in 1930 to find out when humans first arrived in North America. The excavation recovered fossil bones of giant ground sloths, camels, and horses from the Ice Age, as well as Native American artifacts. The cave is a sacred site to the local Paiute community. Tragically, is frequently vandalized and desecrated and graffiti. The goals of this proposal are to transform this eyesore and management headache into a highly valued recreational and educational resource on the east side of the valley, and create a recreation anchor on the east side of the valley that will complement Red Rock Canyon on National Conservation Area on the west, Sloan Canyon National Conservation on the south, and Tule Springs Fossil Bed National Monument on the north. Achieving these goals will enhance the public image of Southern Nevada as a mecca for outdoor recreation. I also brought this proposition after I testified at the Senate hearings. I took it to a group that was having a meeting of about 26 women and men. And I had a sign-up sheet and I read them the essence of the bill and everything. And I said, this was put out by Citizens for Active Management. Join the coalition to provide more protection for this area. I got 21 signatures, all approved this bill, sent joint resolution number 8. And it was on March the 22nd, 2025. And I sent this to Orenshaw. And that's the picture of them all signing, not only with their email, but their phone number. And so it was a marvelous thing. Other people from Arco Nevada Society has fought years from this to protect this area. The Southern Nevada Paiutes have the salt songs that they perform. They have other things that other tribes join in Gypsum Cave. It's a very sacred area, and it's just an absolutely something that can enhance the visitor quality in Las Vegas by showing what we have on the east side of the valley. And it's just a beautiful, beautiful area. Rainbow Gardens, you should see that in early morning. It's ribbons of different colors throughout the geology formations there. We have bike trails that go through the area and not being hazarded by automobiles and so forth. We've done a lot of work out there since the early 90s, and I've been with them. Steve Rowland is our president. We are a very active group with the Adopt the Highway program and on Highway 147. And we deeply appreciate Senator Orenshaw's application for this. We wish him the best of luck because this is sorely needed in Las Vegas. The east side of Las Vegas, where Sunrise Frenchman Mountain, extremely interesting to students and to the public. And it's just unbelievable what we've got out there. So
And thank you, Ms. Mortensen. As a fellow East Sider, I really appreciate that wonderful and vibrant picture. So thank you so much. So with that, Chair Orenshaw, we'll open it up for questions.
Thank you very much, Chair Mosca. And just as a brief aside, I had the great honor of serving with Helen Mortensen's husband, Assemblymember Harry Mortensen, former chair of this committee. Truly great man. Mrs. Mortensen has worked tirelessly to establish the Ice Age Fossil Park, and it's been a great honor working with her on trying to protect Frenchman Mountain Rainbow Gardens. Happy to answer any questions, committee.
Thank you. Members, any questions?
No question.
Okay, Assemblymember Cole.
Thank you very much for this. I know it's probably too late to get joint sponsors, but I would love to be on this. Go ahead.
James Orchall, Senate 21, through you, Chair Mosca, to Assemblymember Cole. It's never too late, and we'd love to have co-sponsors if it's the pleasure of the committee. If, unfortunately, when I got a lot of my bills, I ran out of time to walk them around, so I'd
Yeah.
love to have co-sponsors if the committee's open to that, and the chair.
We did. And I will just tell you my little story about why I want to be on there. So I'm an environmental science major in college, and I took lots of geology courses. And when I learned about the Great Unconformity, I thought it was the most coolest thing ever. And I wanted to come out to Vegas and see it. So when I moved out here in 1998, it's one of the first things that I wanted to do. And I was told it wasn't really all that safe for a single woman to go out there. And it made me very sad. So I'm very happy to protect this. Thank you.
James Orchall, Senate 21. I'd be honored to have you and anybody else who'd like to be a co-sponsor. And it is a beautiful place. And, certainly I think that what I've heard about Red Rock Canyon and what happened to dumping there before the federal government enacted enhanced protections, I think we could see that area be enjoyed for recreation, for families, and also be protected the way Red Rock Canyon is. I think there's a potential for that, and I hope that our partners in Washington will listen.
Thank you. Next, we'll go to Assemblymember Monroe Moreno.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Not a question, but just a comment to you. Thank you so much. And to Ms. Mortensen, I want to say thank you to you because the Ice Age Fossil Park is in my district, and I fought for years to protect that from people removing artifacts and selling them in California to make those thefts have a little bit more power behind those for folks who are caught with that. So thank you for the work that you've been doing for years and years and years to preserve the history of our state. And it's a beautiful park. If you have not been to the Ice Age Park, I encourage you to go there and check out the mammoth that welcomes you at the entry of the park. The mammoth was designed by a high schooler, and everything in that mammoth was trash that was found on the land when we built out that park. So she put that trash to good use. So thank you for the work, and I would love to be a co-sponsor on this bill.
Thank you for your kind comments. James Orchall, Senate 21. And again, I do appreciate all the hard work Helen Mortensen has done. She told me a story, Chair Mosca, with your permission, that when they first talked Harry Mortensen into running for assembly, they actually wanted her to run. And somehow she and Harry decided that Harry would run for the political office and she would work for all these important things kind of as a community organizer and activist. But I can only imagine all the tremendous legislation if she had decided to run and not Harry.
Thank you so much. Next, we have Assemblymember Hibbets.
Thank you, Chair. Senator, as a fellow native of Southern Nevada, I am quite familiar with Sunrise Mountain and Frenchman Mountain. However, some people may not be as familiar with the Rainbow Gardens area. I want you to confirm that we're not talking about the special events venue on West Charleston, but an area adjacent to those two mountaintops. Can you just describe the area of Rainbow Gardens for the record?
Thank you, Chair Mosca. James Orchall, Senate 21, through you to Assemblymember Hibbets. I think some of the best descriptions I can give is coming in, sometimes flying in from the south towards the Las Vegas airport. There's certain times when the light does hit it, and I can see those rainbow colors in the rocks. And I think that's some of the most dramatic view when you come in from the east approach for me. And I know that there's, with your permission, Chair Mosca, perhaps maybe I could turn it over to Mrs. Mortensen for Mrs. Mortensen. I wonder if you might be able to further talk a little bit about your love of Rainbow Gardens.
My goodness. Well, I'm not a geologist and I'm not an archaeologist, but I'm a avocational geologist and an avocational archaeologist. Rainbow Gardens is a beautiful, beautiful area. You travel through it by the Kodachrome Road, and that kind of describes the visual effect of Rainbow Gardens. It's all a rainbow effect of red and yellow and beige stripes that run the whole length of the Rainbow Garden. It is a beautiful area, great for hiking. It is right near Lake Mead. So you have Lake Mead area also in that area that enhances the recreational opportunities there. And we just feel like this whole area is one that has been overlooked many times to create a national monument. And I think Las Vegas needs that. We have one of the largest tourist events in the whole United States. And one of the biggest tourist events we have are these national parks. This could be developed into a beautiful national park with the Rainbow Gardens, the Frenchman Sunrise Mountain area, and the just a lot of the Lake Las Vegas butts up right against the side of it too. And it's just a lot of communities are really working out there to help. With Citizens for Active Management, we worked with the schools back in the 90s when we first formed, early 90s. And we worked so hard educating the schools. Lillian, and our senior senator Hickey, and worked with the schools, bringing them out to the Great Unconformity and having the children touch the point where the division of the land, between 1.7 billion years old and what we have 500 million years old. You can't do that anywhere else. It's a tremendous thing. And they turned out to be so helpful. And the education part of this was so wonderful that the children really turned into geology. And we had Steve Rowland would go out there and talk and everything, that actually the Secretary of Interior invited us back to Washington, D.C., some of the children, the teachers, our organization, to celebrate a national medal given to us. We toured the White House, we toured Congress, we really had a wonderful week in Washington, D.C., and it was all sponsored by Secretary of Interior.
Well,
So
thank you,
this
Mrs.
has such a
Mortensen.
potential. We talk about
That is
education.
pretty
That's what we
amazing.
need.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Members, any other questions? Well, since we're all telling stories, one time I hiked from East Las Vegas to Lake Las Vegas, so I just love the East Side, and I hope you'll also let me be a co-sponsor as a proud East Sider and being nestled in your district. So thank you, Senator.
Thank you, Chair Mosca. James Orenshall, Senate 21. I'd be honored. And one time I drove there. I won't claim to have ever hiked it. Many times I've driven there, but never hiked it. So I take my hat off to you. That's very impressive. Thank you for hearing the bill. I appreciate the committee's indulgence.
Thank you so much. We'll now start testimony. We will start testimony in support for SJR 8 here in Carson City. Don't forget, you have 2 minutes, and please state and spell your name for the record.
Hello, Chair and members of the committee. It's Tristan St. Dennis again, the Policy and Advocacy Associate with the Nevada Conservation League. We just wanted to emphasize the importance of these very unique and beautiful areas in our state. Sunrise Mountain, Frenchman Mountain, and Rainbow Gardens are unique and remarkable areas, and they are worthy of protection and federal designation. We urge your support on this measure. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Olivia Tanager. Again, for the record, I'm the director of the Sierra Club's Toyabe chapter. The Sierra Club Toyabe chapter is in strong support of SJR 8. We also are in strong support of the protection of this area. As a geology undergrad myself, I learned about it in undergrad as well and have had the pleasure of going out there and seeing it. It's very cool. And I encourage you all in all your free time to read about what an unconformity is and why this area is so unique. But we host cleanups and love to protect that land and would like to see further protections so that everybody can enjoy it and people feel safe and students can continue to learn about the wonderful things that we have right here in Nevada. Thank you.
Thank you. And with that, we will move to Las Vegas. If anyone is there in Las Vegas to testify in support, sees no one coming to the table, we will now go to AVH for support of SJR 8.
Thank you, Chair. The public line is open and working. We have no callers for support at this time.
Thank you. With that, we will move to opposition. If anyone is here in opposition to SJR 8. Seeing none in Carson City, seeing none in Las Vegas, seeing no one come to the table, AVH will open up opposition to SJR 8 on the phone lines, please.
The public line is open and working. We have no callers for opposition.
Okay, thank you, and we will then go to neutral. Anyone here in Carson City for neutral? Anyone in Las Vegas? And AVH, anyone on the phone line to neutral testimony on SJR 8?
Thank you. The public line is open and working. We have no callers for neutral at this time.
At this time, I'll invite Chair Ornshaw for his last closing remarks.
Chair Mosca, members of the committee, James Ornshaw, Senate 21. I know the hour's late. Thank you for your indulgence. Thanks for hearing all four bills. Thank you for hearing SJR 8. I believe this area is worthy of protection. The way the resolution is worded, it leaves it up to the Congress to decide what kind of federal protections should be enacted. It doesn't try to tie anybody's hands. So, again, I hope the committee will consider moving forward with it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. And with that, I'll now close the hearing on SJR 8. Thank you so much for being here again, Chair Ornshaw. We appreciate you. With that, we'll go to our last item on the agenda, which is public comment. You'll have 2 minutes to provide testimony, and you can submit written public comment up to 24 hours after the meeting. Don't forget, we're not public commenting on anything we've heard today since we've already closed testimony, and always talk about the bill or the AJR, not the sponsor. I'll read the number one more time, 888-475-4499, and the meeting ID is 814-8849-1504. We'll start with public comment in Carson City. Seeing none, we'll go down to Las Vegas. Anyone here for public comment in Las Vegas? And seeing none, we will open the phone lines, please, AVH.
Chair, the public lines are open and working. We have no callers for public comment.
Great. Thank you so much, committee. We got through 4 bills in 1 hour and 6 minutes. Pretty great. Our next meeting is Tuesday, April 29th at 4 p.m. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.